In M39, the Order of the Ebon Chalice set out to a remote part of the Gothic sector, on the edge of Segmentum Obscurus. Their long-forgotten mission to find and purge a band of exceptionally powerful renegade psychers. Upon arriving into the subsector in question, the Order touched down on a habitable moon of a massive gas giant, which was known to the locals as Cocytus, as its gases tended to cast its livable world moons in a twilight, almost frozen blue atmosphere. The subsector known as Aegis was home to an unnaturally high quantity of worlds able to support some modicum of life. In order to fulfill their mission, they would need to set up camp for the long term. Thus, a newly formed fortress world began in its infancy upon the moon, Gehenna Secundus. It was a windswept ball of rolling plains riddled with shallow lakes and rivers, the waters of which teemed with phosphorescent microbial life. The windswept plains themselves ideal for supporting grazers and cavalry for the culmination of ecclesiarchy and astromilitarum forces to use over the millennia as it expanded. The initial steps for this branch of the Ebon Chalice were first fraught with failure, with many of their sisters serving penance in Repentia, the renegade psychers evading their vigilant crusade. As Gehenna at this point was only a fledgling garrison, they were quickly pushed from the brink of collapse into an enviable fighting force when fortune smiled as they investigated one of the 4 moons of Cocytus. They came across a feudal world, Stygia. The reception of the Stygians lorded over by House Stygia was tentative and tense, the air palpable as the massive imperial knights loomed overhead. Since the Sisters of Battle were received as holy warriors, sent by the god Eternal, the Stygians would soon give up the maidens from their village to the Adeptus Roridas, those which they believed to be pure of heart. This swelled the numbers of the depleted priory whose witch hunt would last millennia, time and cultural exchange eventually birthing a minor order which adopted the name of Onyx Veil, a grim reminder of the black which would make up the repentant garb from their former uniforms. The Sisters of the Ebon Veil would adopt the heraldry of the Questor Imperialis, which revitalized the priory dawning on the colors of black, gold, and royal purple. The sweeping plains of Gehenna Secundus proving ideal training grounds to adopt hit-and-run tactics favored by the trainees from the feudal world. The Order of the Onyx Veil would have an unusually high number of dominions, and would favor the more nimble immolators and repressors to siege weapons like the Exorcist. In early M40, the subsector would come under assault by the 8-sworn Decorn Demonkin, a marauding group of berserkers and demons falling onto Stygia like locusts. During this time, the Sisters had nearly tracked down the cult of psychers to the one of the many worlds within the subsector when they heard a distress call from their longtime allies. Canoness Victoria Shrike had to make a hard choice to abandon the hunt and support their allies against the overwhelming numbers thrust upon them. The battle was fierce, casualties high on both sides, but the Corn Demonkin led by the bloodthirsty Varankex were ultimately slaughtered and banished back from whence they came. In honor of their valor, the surviving knights of House Stygia would become oath-sworn to the Sisters of the Onyx Veil. From that day, the Imperial Knights would come forth to aid the Sisters in a situation where heavier armaments were needed. In battle, the Sisters of the Onyx Veil prefer rapid deployment, often sending retributors in a hail of ecclesiarchal drop pods. The retributors would commence relentless fire support as the immolators and their Dominion cargo would follow closely behind in Valkyrie transports. With an abundance of promethium found in one of the habitable worlds within the sector, this gives the Sisters an uncanny number of flamers to match their endless zeal. Next to flamers, rapid-firing storm bolters remain the favorite choice of these noble Sisters. With the bulk of the recruitment for the Order coming from a feudal world, the preference for power swords prevails over the noisy chainsword, as they are familiar to the trainees like the regular swords of their nearby homeworlds.